Einar Tangen, who is a commentator on international politics and economics. Einar, welcome to the program. Always good to have you on. Just explain to us whether you believe there's any risk in the system that now governs China. In other words, you've got what's almost a capitalist system with it being underpinned by a Leninist philosophy. You know, I mean, obviously you've got capitalism which rewards individuals and communism, Leninism, which emphasizes the collective. Isn't there a dichotomy there?
Well, no, absolutely not. What they've done is at the governmental level, they've said that there are minimums, for instance, getting rid of extreme poverty, trying to close the gap between the rich and poor, trying to make sure that people have adequate access to education, opportunity, etc. So those are the goals. They use capitalism as a vehicle to make sure people have the incentive to go forward, to work the best they can. There was a meeting of 18 farmers who reorganized the way that they did the land. They signed a document. There's 18 of them. They're a little bit afraid. But they were able in 1 year to literally 5x the amount of production that they had. They became, in essence, heroes, and that sparked part of the reforms that Deng Xiaoping has opened up. Now, I mean, you always hear this constant criticism that China's about to fall. But for the last 40 years, China has defied every instance where it said this will be the year that China goes kaput. China is stronger now, and quite frankly, that is part of the problem. China's success has brought into doubt a lot of people's belief in, the absolute necessity of capitalism and democracy. And it's very hard for people to swallow. They therefore accuse China of somehow cheating. They can't exactly point out where.
She said that only socialism can save China, only socialism with Chinese characteristics can develop China. I mean, is there a danger of overemphasizing the importance of the party to the extent of making it superior even to the government and to the people? In other words, most of the successes China has had, and there are multiple, especially that mention of poverty and lifting hundreds of millions of people out of poverty, Xi Jinping having said that the country has actually eradicated it a few months ago, he said that. So those sorts of achievements, if they're due to the party, then the failures will also be due to the party. So there's a danger, is there not, that the party is being elevated to an extent that it could produce a downfall if there's some kind of massive reversal?
Well, there was a quote earlier that a U.S. congressman made. A politician said that the Chinese government is afraid of only one thing: its people. And that's correct. And I mean that in the sense that the party is the greatest consumer of any kind of survey or any kind of opinion poll within the people within the greater country. They're constantly watching it, and they're constantly adjusting. You asked earlier what the benefits of joining the party are. Would you get a better job? No, you don't. Actually, most party cadres start out at the bare minimum. They'll be sent out to very difficult conditions in the poorest areas of China to learn what they call the grassroots, in essence, starting at the very base of society so that they understand what they're supposed to do. And they progress along those lines. In terms of a danger of the party, I would agree. It is very difficult. You cannot blame anybody else. This isn't like a two-party system where you say they did it and they can sit out, and then when people get tired of they can come back in. The party is ultimately responsible and therefore cannot hide. That is very difficult. So it requires them to do something very different. But people should not make the mistake of thinking that the Chinese Communist Party is a monolith. If you actually talk to the people there, they have quite different views. Some are very in favor of more democracy, more capitalism. Others are in favor of going back to more stringent standards, more nationalistic standards. But what happens is when a decision is made and a policy is adopted, they have to follow it. It's kind of a party discipline thing. So, there's always other groups out there who are saying, well, within the party itself, well, we'll wait and see. We'll go along with this, but if this isn't working, we will put in our oar into the water and ask that it be changed. So this is but not quite the way that people see it. I've written a couple of books on how Chinese government works, and it's been interesting to watch them in their deliberations, which unfortunately take a long, long time. People don't really realize that when they look at the NPC and things seem to go so smoothly there, that they're looking at the product of millions of man-hours of work that go from the top of society all the way down to the bottom of society in order to craft something that is harmonious and will work. They use this and things like model programs, EDZs, things like this, where they try different ideas, and if they're working, fine. If they need adjustment, fine. If they're not working, then they're gotten rid of. So far, this has been very successful.
Einar, just finally, if you don't mind being slightly more brief, is Xi Jinping personally developing this cult of personality, which international analysts say is happening? And I mean, it's commonly referred to as he being the most powerful leader China has had since Mao Zedong. And one really interesting example was the suit that he was wearing today, of course. It was the grey Mao-like suit, and the other people around him, they were wearing Western suits. And clearly, that's a message to the people. He wouldn't have come out with a grey suit like that if Mao hadn't worn something similar.
Well, I think it is, a reference to the past. Remember, this last 100 years was in reaction to the previous 100 years of humiliation under foreign domination, things like that. They felt very ill-used. They were being occupied by the Japanese. So there is a sense that they have gone forward. In terms of Xi being cult-like figure, I think this is overplayed in the West to make it seem that China is more authoritarian than it actually is. The fact is that it's a very collegial situation. One person cannot make all of these decisions. There has to be support. If he wanted to be the supreme leader, he certainly wasn't doing it. If you look at how Modi would have arranged this, there would have been, stands full of people. But today was not even a public holiday. There was no aggrandizing of him. It was simply an event. He talked to the party members, where they have been, where they are now, and where they have far to go.
Einar, thank you so much indeed. Really, really always enjoy your analysis. Einar Tangen speaking to us from Beijing.